The stars stretched like diamonds across the viewport as Captain J. Kim leaned back in her command chair on the bridge of the UES horizon. She brushed a strand of dark hair from her face and studied the sensor readings with tired eyes. 3 weeks into their deep space survey mission, and the most exciting thing they'd discovered was an unusual gas formation in a nearby nebula. "Captain, you should probably get some rest," said First Officer Tom Ryu, his concerned expression illuminated by the soft blue glow of his console. "You've been on duty for 16 hours straight." Kim shook her head. "Something feels off about this sector. Call it a gut feeling." The Horizon wasn't built for combat. Its sleek, elongated hull housed the most advanced scientific equipment Earth had ever sent to the stars. Observation decks, laboratories, and sensor arrays made up most of the ship's internal space. Its crew consisted primarily of scientists, not soldiers, researchers eager to catalog new stellar phenomena and hopefully make first contact with alien civilizations. "Captain," the urgent voice of Ensign Una Park cut through the quiet hum of the bridge. "Sensors are picking up energy discharges consistent with weapons fire bearing 043 Mark 12. Kim straightened in her chair. "Distance? Just under 3 light minutes, ma'am. Put it on screen. Maximum magnification." The main display flickered, revealing a distant scene that made everyone on the bridge fall silent. A sleek silver vessel with flowing, almost organic, lines was desperately evading fire from 3 angular black ships. The silver ship's hull was already scarred with damage, one section venting atmosphere into the void. "Are we picking up any communications?" Kim asked. "Communications Officer Dave." Cho shook his head. "Nothing on standard frequencies, but there's definitely data being exchanged between those ships. The computer can't make sense of it yet." Kim drummed her fingers on the armrest. The Horizon's first contact protocols were clear. Observe and report, but do not interfere in conflicts between unknown species. Yet something about the uneven nature of the fight bothered her deeply. "Tactical analysis," she ordered. Tactical Officer Anna Song responded immediately. "The silver vessel appears to be a civilian craft, possibly a diplomatic or scientific vessel based on its configuration. Limited defensive capabilities, no apparent offensive weapons. The pursuing vessels are clearly military, energy weapons, shield technology we can't match, and their attack pattern suggests they're toying with their target." Kim stood up and walked closer to the view screen. "This isn't a battle, it's a hunt." "Captain," Ryu cautioned, "first contact protocols are explicit. We should maintain distance and watch them die?" Kim turned to face her crew. "I don't think that's why any of us joined the exploration service." She made her decision. "Helm, set intercept course, maximum speed." The Horizon surged forward, its engines pushing to full power. As they closed the distance, the uneven nature of the fight became even more apparent. The silver ship was executing desperate evasive maneuvers, but its engines were failing. "We're being scanned," Song reported, tension evident in her voice. "The attackers have noticed our approach." Kim nodded. "Good. Cho, open a channel on all frequencies. Universal greeting protocol." "Channel open." Kim straightened her uniform and stood tall. "This is Captain J. Kim of the United Earthship Horizon. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and scientific discovery. We request that you cease hostilities immediately." The only response was a redirection of one of the attacking vessels, which broke off pursuit and turned toward the Horizon. "They're scanning us more intensively now," Song reported. "They seem particularly interested in our power core and weapon systems." She paused, checking her readings. "Which we barely have." Kim's mind raced. The Horizon carried only basic, point defense systems designed to vaporize small asteroids in their path, not engage hostile warships. But the attackers didn't know that. "Song, activate all sensor systems. Full power to active scanning arrays." Ryu looked confused. "Captain, we can't fight, but we can look intimidating," Kim explained. "Power up everything we've got. Make it look like we're targeting their vessels." Understanding dawned on Ryu's face. "A bluff." "Exactly." Kim returned to her chair. "Engineering, I need everything you can give me to the forward shields. Make it visible. I want them to see the energy buildup. Chief Engineer Han Park's voice came over the comm. You got it, Captain. Rerouting power now. It won't stop a direct hit from those weapons, but it'll look pretty impressive from a distance. The bridge crew worked frantically as the attacking ship approached. The horizon's sensors blazed to life, bathing the enemy vessel in every scanning frequency known to humanity. Power surged visibly along the ship's hull, creating an impressive light show. They're slowing their approach, Song reported, surprise in her voice. The other two have also reduced speed. Kim allowed herself a small smile. Cho, transmit again. Tell them that we have identified their vessels and will consider further aggression against the damaged ship as a hostile act against Earth. Moments later, the three attacking ships began to pull back. It worked, Ryu whispered in disbelief. For now, Kim cautioned. But they're transmitting massive data packets to somewhere. My guess is they're calling for reinforcements. She turned to Song. Status of the damaged vessel? Life support failing. 30, maybe 40 survivors on board. Kim nodded. Helm, bring us alongside. Prepare emergency docking procedures. She hit the ship-wide comm. Medical teams to docking bay 1. Prepare for possible alien physiology. As the horizon moved closer to the damaged alien ship, Kim couldn't shake the feeling that they had just stepped onto a much larger stage. Earth had officially made first contact, not through careful protocols and diplomatic exchanges, but by standing between predator and prey among the stars. Captain, Cho called out, excitement in his voice. We're receiving a transmission from the alien vessel. The computer is processing it now. It's a thank you. They're thanking us. Kim looked at the silver ship, now clearly visible through the viewport, its elegant design marred by weapon impacts, its hull breached in multiple locations. Whatever these people were, they had been on the verge of extinction. Tell them they're welcome, she said softly, and that we come in peace. The medical bay of the UES horizon buzzed with activity as Dr. Lee Soo-jin worked tirelessly over her new patient. The alien lay on the examination table, its silver-blue skin glimmering under the bright lights. 4 arms rested at its sides, and a crest of translucent membranes pulsed gently on its head. Fascinating, Dr. Lee murmured. Their cellular structure allows for rapid healing when provided with the right nutrients. She glanced up at Captain Kim. But they're severely malnourished. They've been running for a long time. The alien's large, opalescent eyes tracked their movements. According to the newly calibrated translator, this was Ambassador Talon, one of the last diplomatic representatives of a species called the Liriani. Captain Kim pulled up a chair beside the examination table. Ambassador, can you tell us more about who was attacking you? The alien's membranes fluttered, and the translator converted the movement and soft clicking sounds into words. They are called the Void Dominion, Talon said, his voice rendered as a gentle male tone through the translator. They consume organic life for sustenance and energy. My people, the Liriani Confederation, opposed them for centuries. He paused, a shudder running through his body. We were many once, billions, across 17 worlds. Now we are scattered. The ship you rescued holds the last members of our governing council, the last carriers of our genetic archives. First Officer Ryu frowned. You mean? Yes, Talon confirmed. If we had been destroyed, our species would have ended. You did. Not just save a ship, Captain Kim. You saved an entire civilization from extinction. The weight of those words hung heavy in the air. Kim exchanged glances with her officers. The Dominion ships retreated, but they were sending data transmissions, she said. I suspect they were reporting our position. Talon's membranes darkened with what the humans were beginning to recognize as distress. Then they will return. With greater numbers. The Void Dominion does not forget, and they do not forgive. They will mark your species as enemies now. We need to get you to safety, Kim decided. Where are the rest of your people? The nearest sanctuary world is in the Epsilon cluster, Talon said. 3 days at your vessel's maximum speed, but the journey is dangerous. The Dominion patrols the regions between. Kim straightened her shoulders. Then we'll need to be careful, but we'll get you there. Later, in the ship's conference room, Kim faced the skeptical faces of her senior staff. This isn't our fight, Security Chief Dan Wu argued. We should contact Earth Command for instructions. By the time we get a response, the Liriani could be dead, Kim countered. And remember, the Dominion has already scanned us. They know about Earth now. This became our fight the moment we intervened. Chief Engineer Han Park cleared his throat. Captain, I've been working with some of the Liriani engineers. Their technology is incredible. They've developed bioorganic components that can interface with our systems. If they're willing to share, we could significantly improve our chances against the Dominion. Integration with alien tech without proper testing? Dr. Lee looked skeptical. Is that safe? Park shrugged. The Liriani say it is. Their whole approach to technology is different from ours. They grow their ships as much as build them. Work with them, Kim decided. See what can be done safely. The next day, Kim toured the engineering section, where human and Liriani crew worked side by side. The sight was remarkable, the slender, four-armed aliens moving with grace among the more stocky humans, their membranes flashing with colors that the translator couldn't quite capture. We've never seen anything like it, Park said excitedly, leading her to a workstation where components pulsed with an inner light. Their biocircuits respond to thought patterns. We've already boosted sensor range by 40%, and that's just the beginning. A Liriani engineer named Nevi approached, her movements cautious but friendly. Your ships are unusual to us, she said through the translator. So much metal, so rigid. But there is beauty in your designs, efficiency we had not considered. Different evolutionary paths, different solutions, Kim replied with a smile. Yes, Nevi agreed. We evolved from reef-building organisms. We understand growth and symbiosis. You evolved from mammalian hunters. You understand tools and adaptation. Park pointed to a schematic on the screen. We're working on integrating their bioorganic shielding with our power systems. If it works, we'll have defensive capabilities that might actually stand up to a Dominion attack. And if it doesn't work? Kim asked. Then we'll have blown every circuit on the ship, Park admitted, but the Liriani seemed confident. Later that evening, Kim sat in the ship's observation lounge, watching the stars streak by. The door hissed open, and Ambassador Talon floated in, his movements more fluid now that he was recovering. May I join you, Captain? He asked. Kim gestured to the seat across from her. Please. Talon settled into the chair, his four arms arranging themselves in what Kim had learned was a formal posture. Your crew has been most welcoming. Many species would fear us for our differences. Differences are what we came out here to find, Kim replied. Though I admit we expected first contact to be a bit less dramatic. A sound like gentle wind chimes emerged from Talon. Laughter, Kim realized. The universe seldom cooperates with our expectations, he said. My people believed ourselves to be alone for generations. Then we met others, formed alliances, built a confederation based on mutual respect and exchange of knowledge. His membranes darkened. The Dominion ended that golden age. Tell me about them, Kim prompted. The more we know, the better we can prepare. They were once like us, physical beings, but they found a way to transcend their bodies, becoming energy entities. At first, they merely observed other species. Then they discovered they could feed on organic life force. Talon's voice grew somber. They see the rest of us as nothing but food and fuel. A chill ran down Kim's spine. How do you fight something like that? With difficulty, Talon admitted. Their ships are extensions of themselves. They can reform after damage, adapt to our weapons. That is why they have overwhelmed us. The ship suddenly lurched, throwing them both forward. The red alert klaxon blared. Captain to the bridge. Rue's voice came over the comm. Kim and Talon rushed to the bridge where chaos reigned. On the main view screen, a massive black ship shaped like a twisted angular spiral had appeared directly in their path. Where did it come from? Kim demanded. sliding into her chair. It just appeared, Song reported from Tactical. No warp signature, no warning. One moment empty space, the next. That. Talon's membranes paled to almost white. A Dominion hunter-killer, one of their largest vessels. Evasive maneuvers, Kim ordered. All power to engines. The horizon veered sharply, but the massive Dominion vessel turned with impossible speed, staying directly in their path. They're scanning us, Song reported, much more intensively than before. They know we have Liriani aboard, Talon said. They've come to harvest us all. The ship shuddered as a beam of dark energy lanced out from the Dominion vessel, barely missing them. That was a warning shot, Kim said grimly. They could have hit us if they wanted to. Park's voice came over the comm. Captain, the Liriani. Engineers say we can implement the bioshield now. It's not fully tested, but do it. Kim cut him off. We're out of options. As the massive black ship charged its weapons for another blast, Kim looked at Talon. Your people survived this long. Any advice for a first-timer? The ambassador's membranes rippled with what might have been a sad smile. When facing the void, Captain, remember that they understand power, but not courage. They understand consumption, but not cooperation. That is their weakness. Kim nodded and turned to face the view screen as the Dominion ship grew larger. Let's show them both then. In engineering, humans and Liriani worked frantically side by side, their futures now bound together by a common enemy and the thin hull of a ship never meant for war. The massive Dominion vessel loomed on the view screen like a twisted black cathedral against the stars. Its surface rippled with dark energy as it prepared to fire again. The first shot had been a warning. The next would tear through the horizon's conventional shields like paper. Evasive pattern Delta, Captain Kim shouted as the ship rocked from a near miss. Status on the bioshield? Chief Engineer Park's voice crackled over the comm, background noise suggesting frantic activity. We're trying, Captain. The integration is failing. Human technology and Liriani biotech are fighting each other. On the bridge, Tactical Officer Song gripped her console as another blast rocked the ship. Shields at 34% and falling. One more. Direct hit and we're done. Ambassador Talon stood beside Kim, his silver-blue skin pale with stress, membranes folded tight against his head. Your ship's systems are incompatible with our biomatter at the basic level, he said. We need a bridge between technologies. What kind of bridge? Kim demanded. Talon hesitated. A neural interface, living minds to guide the merger. First Officer Ryu looked up sharply. You're talking about connecting our crew directly to the ship? Not the entire crew, Talon explained quickly. A core group to serve as a neural network. The ship would become an extension of you. Kim felt the deck plates vibrate beneath her feet as another energy weapon glanced off their failing shields. Smoke began to fill the bridge as a console overloaded. Casualties reported on decks 4 through 7, came the grim report from sickbay. How long would this neural connection last? Kim asked. Talon's membranes fluttered with uncomfortable colors. It would be permanent. The connection once made cannot be severed without damage to both ship and mines. A heavy silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the wail of damage alarms. I need volunteers, Kim said finally. No one will be ordered to do this. I'm in, Ryu said immediately. Count me in, Song added without hesitation. Over the comm, Park's voice came through. Me too, Captain. My engineers are already working. With the Liriani tech. One by one, senior officers volunteered. Kim nodded, her face grim with determination. I'll join you, Talon offered. My people have experience with this process. Helm, keep us moving, Kim ordered. Everyone else with me to engineering. The corridor to engineering was chaos. Emergency lights casting red shadows, crew members rushing to repair damage, the smell of burned circuitry heavy in the air. When they reached engineering, Kim found it transformed. Liriani biomatter covered portions of the walls and ceiling, pulsing with an inner light. Tendrils of it had wound around human computer systems, creating strange hybrid interfaces. We've prepared a neural link chamber, Park explained, leading them to what had once been a storage room. Inside, a circle of reclined chairs waited, each surrounded by gently waving tendrils of bioluminescent material. Each chair will connect one person to a key ship system: navigation, weapons, shields, propulsion, and I will guide the overall integration, Talon added. My people have done this before, though never with another species. Kim looked at the alien technology with a mixture of wonder and apprehension. What happens to us, to who we are? You remain yourselves, Talon assured her, but you will also become part of something larger. You will feel the ship as an extension of your body. Its pain will be your pain, its strength your strength. Another violent shake threw them against the walls. Hull breach on Deck 9, came the panicked report over the comm. Emergency force fields failing. Kim straightened her uniform. No more time for debate, let's do this. The volunteers each took a chair. Kim, Ryu, Song, Park, Dr. Lee, Communications Officer Cho, and 3 others. Talon positioned himself at the center of their circle. Clear your minds, the ambassador instructed as Liriani technicians adjusted the connections. Focus on your breathing. The process will be intense. The tendrils approached each human, hesitant at first, then with growing confidence. They touched skin, at the temples, the back of the neck, the wrists, and burrowed painlessly inward. Kim gasped as the first connection was made. It felt like plunging into icy water, then being engulfed in fire. Her consciousness stretched, expanded beyond her body. Suddenly she could feel the entire ship, every deck, every corridor, every system. She could sense the other volunteers, their minds blazing like stars in her awareness, and she could feel the damage. Hull breaches like wounds in her own flesh, failing shields like fever, overtaxed engines like burning muscles. It's working. Park's voice echoed strangely, both aloud and directly in Kim's mind. The biomatter is spreading throughout the ship, integrating with our systems. Through the ship's external sensors, Kim could see the Dominion vessel charging for another attack. But now, instead of fear, she felt a strange calm. The ship, her ship, was changing. Weapons? She asked, the word both spoken and thought. We don't have conventional weapons, Song replied. But Kim understood immediately. The Horizon's scientific equipment, gravitational sensors, particle accelerators, focused radiation emitters, could be repurposed. With a thought, she redirected power. Outside, the Horizon's hull began to change. The sleek metallic surface rippled as biomatter spread across it like a living skin. Patterns formed, first chaotic, then organized, creating structures that were neither wholly mechanical nor biological. The Dominion ship fired again, a lance of dark energy streaking toward them. Instead of trying to evade, Kim instinctively raised the ship's newly transformed outer hull to meet the attack. The energy hit and was absorbed, channeled, redistributed through the biomechanical pathways now threading throughout the vessel. We can take their fire, Kim realized aloud. We can use it. Through their shared consciousness, the crew understood instantly. Park redirected the absorbed energy to strengthen the new bioshields. Dr. Lee focused on repairing damaged sections of the ship, the biomatter responding to her thoughts by flowing to critical areas. Ryu coordinated their movements, allowing the Horizon to dance with a grace no human helmsman could achieve alone. The Dominion vessel fired again, clearly confused by their prey's transformation. This time, the Horizon didn't just absorb the attack. It channeled the energy through its systems and returned fire, a concentrated beam of the Dominion's own power striking back at its source. The black ship shuddered visibly. It hadn't expected resistance, certainly not effective counterattacks. We've damaged it, Song announced, her voice tight with concentration. Kim could feel the strain on her crew through their shared connection. This merger was taxing their bodies and minds in ways they hadn't anticipated. But she could also feel something else, the ship itself gaining a kind of awareness, responding to their collective will with increasing fluidity. They're retreating, Cho called out as the Dominion vessel began to move away. Should we pursue? Ryu asked. Kim considered it briefly, feeling the ship's eagerness to hunt. an unsettling new sensation. No, we need to understand what we've become before we seek more fights. As the immediate threat receded, Kim became aware of other changes. The interior of the horizon was transforming too. Walls had become semi-organic, lighting adapted to crew needs without switches, and temperature regulated itself perfectly. Most strikingly, there were no more displays or controls. The neural link made them unnecessary. The ship responded directly to thought. "What have we done?" Dr. Lee whispered, looking around engineering with wide eyes. Talon's membranes rippled with what Kim now recognized as amazement. "You've created something unprecedented. A true hybrid. Human ingenuity and determination merged with Liriani adaptive biology. Neither of our peoples could have achieved this alone." Kim tried to stand but found her body wouldn't respond. Panic flashed through her until she realized she could still feel her limbs. They were simply locked in place by the neural interface. "How do we disconnect?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm. Talon's expression became solemn. "As I warned, Captain, you don't. Not completely. Your consciousness can return its focus to your body, but the connection remains. You are now part of the horizon, and it is part of you." The enormity of what they had done settled over the volunteers. They had saved the ship and its crew, but at the cost of their own independence. Kim closed her eyes, focusing on pulling her awareness back from the vast network of the ship into the familiar boundaries of her body. Slowly, feeling returned to her limbs. The tendrils retracted from her skin, though she could still feel the connection humming in the back of her mind. She stood on shaky legs and looked at her fellow volunteers. They too were regaining control of their bodies, but all bore subtle changes, faint patterns like circuitry visible beneath their skin, eyes that seemed to shift color with their thoughts. "We need to reach the Liriani sanctuary world," Kim said, finally. "Then we'll figure out what comes next." As she spoke, she felt the ship's engines power up, responding to her unspoken desire. The horizon moved forward, its course smooth and certain, guided by the collective will of its newly transformed crew. They were no longer just explorers, no longer just human. They had become something else, something the galaxy had never seen before. 3 weeks had passed since the transformation, and Captain Kim still wasn't used to dreaming in starlight. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt the vast emptiness around the horizon, sensed radiation patterns and gravitational eddies that no human was meant to perceive. The other volunteers experienced it too, this constant awareness of the ship as an extension of themselves. They had reached the Liriani sanctuary world of Ishar 2 days after their transformation. The planet orbited a red dwarf star, hidden in a nebula that scrambled most conventional sensors. Perfect camouflage against the void dominion. Now Kim stood on a balcony overlooking the main Liriani settlement, a sprawling city of graceful, semi-transparent structures that seemed to grow from the rocky landscape rather than being built upon it. The sky above was a perpetual twilight, the nebula casting everything in a soft reddish glow. Beautiful, isn't it? First Officer Ryu joined her at the railing. Like all the volunteers, his appearance had subtly changed. Faint, luminous patterns occasionally rippled beneath his skin when he was deep in thought, and his eyes now held flecks of the same bioluminescence that characterized Liriani technology. "Beautiful but sad," Kim replied. A refugee camp dressed up as a city. Below them, thousands of Liriani moved through the streets. Once rulers of 17 worlds, they were now reduced to less than 100,000 survivors, scattered across hidden outposts like this one. "The horizon is fully repaired," Ryu reported. "Better than repaired, actually. The bio-integration is complete. Park says the ship practically heals itself now." Kim nodded. "And the crew?" "Adapting." The non-volunteers were wary at first, but they're coming around. It's hard to be afraid of the ship when it anticipates your needs before you even know you have them. A small group approached along the pathway leading to the balcony. Ambassador Talon accompanied by 3 other Liriani and a human Kim didn't recognize. As they drew closer, she realized the human was wearing an Earth Exploration Service uniform with Admiral's insignia. "Captain Kim," the man called out as he reached them. Admiral Ben Takahashi, EES Command. I've come a long way to find you. Kim and Ryu snapped to attention out of habit, though both had privately wondered if their transformation had effectively ended their military careers. Admiral, Kim acknowledged. We weren't expecting Earth to find us so quickly. Takahashi's weathered face broke into a tired smile. When your science vessel defeats a hostile alien warship and then vanishes into uncharted space, people notice. We've been trying to track you down for weeks. He glanced at the subtle changes in their appearance but didn't comment directly. I've been briefed on your situation, and I've seen your ship. Impressive and concerning in equal measure. We did what was necessary to survive, Kim said defensively. I'm not here to court-martial you, Captain. Takahashi gestured at their surroundings. I'm here because Earth needs to understand what we're facing. The Void Dominion has begun probing our border outposts. They're looking for you, but they'll settle for any human targets they find. Kim felt a chill that had nothing to do with the evening air. They're faster than we expected. Much faster, Talon confirmed, his membranes shifting to worried patterns. The Dominion operates as a collective consciousness. What one ship learns, all know. They now see humanity as allies of the Liriani, enemies to be consumed. Takahashi nodded grimly. We've brought a small fleet, 3 science vessels and 2 patrol ships. The best we could scramble on short notice. That's not enough, Ryu said bluntly. We know. The Admiral ran a hand through his gray hair. That's why I'm here. We need to understand how you transform the horizon. Earth is preparing for defense, but conventional weapons seem useless against these things. Kim exchanged glances with Talon. The process requires sacrifice. Over dinner in a meeting hall with walls that glowed with soft living light, they explained everything to Takahashi. The neural bonding, the permanent connection, the transformation of both ship and crew. So you're telling me, the Admiral said, slowly, that the only effective defense we have requires volunteers to permanently link their minds to their ships? To give up normal human life? Yes, Kim said simply. Takahashi set down his fork. The Security Council won't like it. There are ethical concerns, medical concerns. There are survival concerns, Ryu interrupted. Admiral, we've seen what the Dominion does to worlds it harvests. Nothing is left alive. Not a bacterium, not a blade of grass. Later that night, unable to sleep, Kim wandered down to where the horizon was docked. Unlike the other Earth ships, which sat on landing pads, the horizon now hovered slightly above the ground, supported by fields generated by its living hull. It no longer needed conventional docking facilities. She wasn't surprised to find Admiral Takahashi already there, staring up at the transformed vessel. Couldn't sleep either? She asked. He shook his head. I kept thinking about what you said, about sacrifice. It wasn't an easy choice, Kim admitted, but I don't regret it. Tell me honestly, Takahashi said quietly. What is it like? Kim considered how to explain the inexplicable. It's like having your senses expanded beyond imagination. I can feel solar winds, I can taste radiation, I dream in spectrums no human was ever meant to see. She paused. But I'm still me. We all are. Just more. Takahashi nodded slowly. I've spoken with your crew. They say the same thing. They don't feel violated or diminished. They feel enhanced. The hardest part is knowing there's no going back, Kim said. This is forever. The next morning brought surprising news. Captains and senior officers from all 5 Earth ships in Takahashi's small fleet had volunteered for transformation. Are you sure about this? Kim asked Captain Tae Lee of the Science. Vessel Daedalus. Once done, it can't be undone. Lee, a quiet woman with determined eyes, nodded. My ship was built for deep space observation. Sensitive instruments, but no defenses. If the Dominion finds us, we're dead. This gives us a fighting chance. Similar conversations played out across the settlement as volunteers prepared for the process. The Liriani, experts after centuries of bioengineering, had refined the procedure based on what they'd learned from the Horizon's transformation. 3 days later, Kim stood on the same balcony, watching as the newly transformed Earth vessels rose from their landing sites. Like the Horizon, they now hovered above the ground, their hulls rippling with patterns of light that reflected their crew's thoughts and emotions. The UES Daedalus under Captain Lee had developed a hull that bent light around it, making it nearly invisible to sensors. The UES Prometheus, commanded by Captain Sue Park, had specialized in electronic warfare, its biomechanical systems able to hack and disrupt enemy communications. The UES Athena, led by Captain Jin Kang, had developed predictive capabilities that bordered on precognition. Even the patrol ships had transformed in unique ways. The UES Orion had developed organic armor plates that could withstand incredible damage, while the UES Phoenix had gained the ability to generate massive energy pulses that could temporarily disable Dominion systems. "They're all different, Admiral," Takahashi observed, joining Kim at the railing. "The ships respond to their crew's personalities, their priorities." "A reflection of human diversity," Talon added, his membranes displaying pleased colors. "This is why your people might succeed where mine failed. We sought perfection in uniformity. You find strength in variety." A communication chime sounded from all their wrist devices simultaneously. The facial patterns on Ambassador Talon shifted to alarm. "Dominion signatures detected at the edge of the nebula," he reported. "A hunting fleet, at least 20 vessels." Kim felt the Horizon calling to her through their neural bond. Around the settlement, the other transformed ships were powering up, their newly awakened systems humming with anticipation. "They found us faster than expected," Admiral Takahashi said grimly. "The nebula was supposed to hide this place." "They must have followed your fleet's ion trail," Kim suggested. "The Dominion are relentless trackers." Talon's membranes paled. "Eshar has minimal defenses. If the Dominion breaks through, 10,000 years of Liriani culture and knowledge will be lost forever." Kim straightened her uniform jacket, feeling the familiar weight of command. "Then we don't let them break through." The 6 transformed ships, 5 from Earth plus the Horizon, rose higher above the settlement. Through their shared neural networks, the captains communicated faster than words, coordinating strategies and tactics. "We're outnumbered more than 3 to 1, Captain Lee pointed out through the link. "But they've never faced ships like ours before," Kim responded. "They're expecting easy prey." As the small fleet prepared to meet the Dominion force, Kim felt something she hadn't expected, a sense of purpose stronger than any she'd known before. The Horizon had been transformed from a vessel of peaceful exploration into a reluctant warship. Now it was part of something larger, a shield for those who couldn't defend themselves. Through the neural link, she felt the same resolve echoing from the other captains and their crews. They had not sought this role, but they would embrace. "It signal the fleet," Kim ordered, her voice steady. "We meet them at the edge of the nebula. Keep them away from the settlement at all costs." As the 6 ships accelerated toward the approaching threat, the first reluctant armada of Earth was born. The battle at the edge of the nebula lasted 9 hours. 9 hours of desperate maneuvers, of ships dancing through space in ways no conventional vessel could manage. 9 hours of the small Earth Liriani fleet fighting against overwhelming odds. And somehow, they had survived. Captain Kim stood in what had once been the Horizon's conference room. Like the rest of the ship, it had transformed. The walls now curved organically, lighting adjusted automatically to the occupants' needs, and the central table was a living piece of biomatter that displayed 3-dimensional images without projectors. Around the table stood the other ship captains, their appearances marked by the same subtle changes as Kim's, faint bioluminescent patterns beneath their skin, eyes that shifted colors with strong emotions. Admiral Takahashi was present too, his conventional uniform a stark contrast to the transformed officers. "We won't survive another attack like that," Captain Lee of the Daedalus said bluntly. Her ship had taken the worst damage, its stealth capabilities, saving it from destruction but not from harm. "They're learning our capabilities, adapting their tactics." The table displayed recordings from the battle, 20 Dominion vessels converging on the 6 transformed ships. At first, the Earth vessels had the advantage of surprise. The Dominion hadn't expected their energy weapons to be absorbed, their communications to be disrupted, their movements to be predicted. But as the battle progressed, the collective consciousness of the Void Dominion had adapted, finding new angles of attack. We destroyed 3 of their ships, damaged 7 others, Captain Jin Kang of the Athena reported. But you're right. Next time they'll be better prepared. Kim studied the replay carefully. Something had been bothering her throughout the fight. The way the Dominion ships moved with uncanny coordination, responding instantly to any new tactic the Earth fleet attempted. They're connected, she said suddenly. Not just communicating. They're parts of a whole. Ambassador Talon, who had joined them as the Liriani representative, fluttered his membranes in agreement. Yes. The Void Dominion began as a single entity that fragmented itself for greater reach, but the fragments remained connected to the central consciousness. Kim tapped the table, which rippled under her touch. The display zoomed out to show the wider region of space. If they're all connected, there must be a central point, a nexus where the consciousness originated. Tactical Officer Song, who had joined them from her station on the bridge, nodded slowly. A command center or a heart. Precisely, Kim said. We've been fighting the tentacles of a creature while its body remains safe elsewhere. Admiral Takahashi frowned. Even if you're right, how would we find this nexus? Space is vast, and we barely know anything about Dominion territory. Talon's membranes pulsed with an idea. The Liriani archives might help. Before our fall, we mapped much of the Dominion's expansion pattern. Perhaps there's a way to extrapolate the source. For 3 days they worked with the Liriani data specialists, combing through centuries of stellar cartography and battle records. The transformed ships contributed their enhanced processing abilities, their neural-linked crews able to analyze patterns no conventional computer could detect. On the 4th day, Dr. Lee called them back to the conference room. The table now displayed a 3-dimensional map of the sector, with a dark nebula highlighted at its center. We believe this is it, she said, pointing to the nebula. All Dominion expansion over the past 3 centuries radiates from this region. They protect it with overlapping patrol patterns, and no ship that's entered has ever returned. Captain Sue Park of the Prometheus studied the map skeptically. That nebula is 70 light-years from here, deep in Dominion territory. Getting there would be difficult enough, but look at the composition. Quantum fluctuations, temporal anomalies, radiation, levels that would kill any normal crew in minutes. Normal crew, Kim repeated thoughtfully. But we're not entirely normal anymore, are we? Through their neural links, she could feel the other transformed captains considering the implications. Their ships had proven surprisingly resistant to radiation and other space hazards. The bioorganic components adapted quickly to changing conditions. Even if we could survive the journey, Captain Lee pointed out, what exactly are we planning to do? We're 6 ships against the heart of an ancient hostile entity. Kim's gaze remained fixed on the nebula. We don't need to destroy it. We need to communicate with it. Communicate? Admiral Takahashi looked incredulous. These things have genocided entire civilizations. What could we possibly say to them? The Dominion understands only consumption and control, Talon agreed, his membranes displaying doubt. They don't negotiate or compromise, because no one has ever offered them an alternative, Kim argued. They consume organic life because that's what they know. But our ships, what we've become, represent something new, a symbiosis rather than consumption. Silence fell over the room as the radical idea took hold. Not a military strike, but a diplomatic mission to the heart of an enemy that had never known diplomacy. 2 weeks later, after intense preparation and debate, the 6 transformed ships prepared to depart. The plan was desperate, built on theories and hopes rather than certainties. Earth Command had reluctantly approved, seeing no better option as Dominion probes pushed deeper into human space. The night before departure, Kim stood alone on a hilltop, overlooking the Liriani settlement. The horizon hovered nearby, its hull shimmering with patterns that reflected her troubled thoughts. "Captain?" A voice came from behind her. She turned to see Admiral Takahashi approaching through the grass. "Couldn't sleep? Too much on my mind," she admitted. He nodded, coming to stand beside her. "I wanted to tell you that I'm joining the mission." Kim looked at him in surprise. "Sir?" "Not as a neural volunteer," he clarified quickly, "but as an observer aboard. The horizon. Earth needs to understand what we're facing, win or lose." "It's dangerous," Kim warned. "We don't know what we'll find in that nebula." Takahashi smiled faintly. "That's why they call it exploration, Captain." The journey took 11 days at maximum speed, the small fleet moving in a tight formation that allowed them to share energy and resources. They avoided populated systems and known patrol routes, relying on the Daedalus's stealth capabilities to scout ahead. As they approached the nebula, the universe around them began to change. Conventional physics faltered. Sensor readings became unreliable. Communications between ships grew distorted. "This is it," Song announced from Tactical. "The outer boundary of the nebula." Through the view screen they could see it. A vast cloud of swirling darkness shot through with flashes of energy that resembled lightning. No stars were visible within its depths. "Last chance to turn back," Kim said over the fleet channel, though she already knew what the answer would be. One by one, the other captains confirmed their commitment. With a shared thought through their neural links, the 6 ships crossed the threshold into the nebula. Inside, reality itself seemed to warp. The ship's external sensors struggled to make sense of their surroundings. Through their neural connections, the crews experienced sensations no human was meant to feel. Dimensions folding, time stretching and compressing, energy patterns shifting in impossible ways. "The ships are holding together," Chief Engineer Park reported, his voice strained. "The bioorganic components are adapting faster than the conventional systems." As they penetrated deeper into the nebula, navigation became increasingly difficult. The transformed ships relied less on instruments and more on the intuitive understanding that came through their neural bonds with their crews. After what felt like days but might have been hours, they reached the center of the nebula. There, suspended in void, was a structure like nothing they had ever seen, a massive crystalline lattice that pulsed with dark energy. Streams of data and consciousness flowed along its branches, connecting to distant points that must be the individual Dominion ships throughout the galaxy. "The Nexus," Kim whispered. "The heart of the Void Dominion." As they approached, the lattice seemed to notice them. Tendrils of dark energy reached out, surrounding the small fleet. But instead of attacking, the tendrils merely touched each ship as if curious. "It's scanning us," Song reported. "But differently than before, more thoroughly." Kim felt it, a pressure against her mind, something vast and ancient trying to understand what she and her ship had become. Through the neural link, she sensed the same happening to the other captains. "It's trying to communicate," she realized. "Open all channels and strengthen our neural connection to the ship." As the transformed crews deepened their connections, something unexpected happened. The barrier between their consciousness and the Dominion began to thin. Impressions flooded through. Hunger, endless hunger, but also loneliness, curiosity, and a strange form of regret. "It didn't start out as a predator," Kim said with sudden understanding. "It became one because it knew no other way to connect with organic life." Using the horizon as a conduit, Kim projected images and feelings toward the ancient consciousness. The neural symbiosis that had transformed her crew and ship. The willing sharing of consciousness. The strength found in cooperation rather than consumption. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lattice began to change, parts of it brightening from dark energy to something clearer, almost luminous. "It's responding," Ambassador Talon said in wonder. "Part of it is considering." The pressure against their minds increased as the vast consciousness focused more attention on them. Kim felt herself struggling to maintain her identity against its enormity. "Stay together," she urged the other captains through their link. "Remember who we are." As the mental contact deepened, the nature of the Dominion revealed itself more fully. It had once been a single, energy-based life form, evolved. Beyond physical form, in its loneliness it had fragmented itself, sending pieces of its consciousness out into the galaxy. But the fragments had discovered they could absorb the essence of organic beings, incorporating their experiences and energy. What had begun, as curiosity had become addiction, then ruthless harvesting. With a mental push that strained her to her limits, Kim showed the Dominion another possibility: symbiosis rather than consumption, connection that preserved rather than destroyed. The lattice pulsed, then split. Before their eyes, the structure divided, some parts maintaining their dark energy while others transformed into the brighter state. Two distinct networks emerged where one had been. "It's fracturing," Talon said. "Part of the consciousness is rejecting the old ways." Through their mental connection, Kim felt the newborn faction of the Dominion reaching out, not to consume, but to understand, to connect without destruction. As the lattice continued to divide, shock waves of energy rippled outward through the nebula. The small fleet was buffeted by forces that would have torn conventional ships apart. Even with their bioorganic adaptations, systems failed and hulls cracked. "We need to withdraw," Song urged as damage reports flooded in. With one last mental push, Kim showed the reformed faction of the Dominion how to find them again, should it wish to continue communication. Then she gave the order to retreat. The journey out of the nebula was a blur of emergency repairs and navigational challenges. When they finally emerged into normal space, all 6 ships were damaged but intact, their transformed crews exhausted but alive. As they set course back to Liriani space, reports began coming in from distant outposts. Throughout the galaxy, Dominion, ships were falling into disarray. Some continued their attacks, but others had withdrawn, their behavior changed. The collective consciousness was in civil war with itself. Standing on the bridge of the horizon, Captain Kim watched the stars stream by. She could feel her ship healing around her, bioorganic systems repairing damage that would have doomed a conventional vessel. "We didn't destroy them," Admiral Takahashi said, joining her at the view screen. "But we may have done something more important." "We gave them a choice," Kim agreed, "something they've never had before." As the small fleet journeyed home, Kim felt a new sense of purpose flowing through the neural connection she shared with her ship and crew. The Horizon had been transformed from a vessel of exploration to a reluctant warship, and now to something else entirely. A bridge between different forms of life, a testament to the power of connection over consumption. Behind them, in the heart of the dark nebula, a new consciousness considered possibilities it had never imagined before. And throughout the galaxy, both humanity and the surviving Liriani prepared to face a future that, while still uncertain, now held something that had been missing before: hope.